Question number 12 on the reading portion of College Board's Test 3. Which choice does the author explicitly cite? So explicitly cite means that he directly says it as an advantage of automobile travel in North America. So what is he asking? What is an advantage or what's a benefit of using an automobile in North America? Well, if I remember chronologically, he talks about that in the paragraph line 20 to 34, where he's describing why public transportation in North America might not be the best. Doesn't he say at the end, given the opportunity, line 31, who wouldn't drive? Hopping in a car almost always gets you to your destination more quickly. So he's saying using a car will get you to your destination more quickly. What choice does the author, again, this is a quote question too, so we'll be able to match this up with a quote in a second. Which choice does the author explicitly cite as an advantage of automobile travel in North America? Environmental impact. He doesn't say that. He doesn't say that a car is more environmentally friendly. If anything, it's the opposite. Convenience. It is convenient, but what did he explicitly say? Convenient just means that it's like it's easier to use than public transportation. Maybe, but I don't remember him saying that directly. Again, we might need to read all the quotes to see. And again, we have to be careful, explicitly in North America, because I could see why convenient, if we just look at these quotes where they're highlighted. The first quote is from line 5. In other words, traveling to work, school, or market means being a strap hanger, someone who by choice or necessity relies on public rather than privately owned automobile. You might think that it's more convenient to use, or you're more wealthy and therefore have more choice to use a car. But that's not what they're talking about with North America in particular. Or that, again, in line 24 to 26, in much of North America, they are right. Taking transit is a depressing experience. Speed, C, yes. Because what does it say from lines 32 to 34? Hopping in a car almost always gets you to your destination more quickly. So speed, he explicitly says, one advantage of an automobile in North America is the speed at which you travel. Cost, does he say that it's that's an advantage? No, an automobile probably is much more expensive to maintain than a public transport. So, but I'm just assuming that. I don't know that to be true because he never talked about it. He never says that it's cheaper to have a car. He doesn't say that it costs more money to travel by public transportation. I think the answer number 12 is going to be C, speed. He explicitly says automobile travel is better for speed in North America. But let's take a look at the quote to be sure. Question number 13 on the reading portion of College Board's Test 3. So 13 is the quote support to question 12. The question number 12 is, what does the author explicitly cite as an advantage of automobile travel in North America? He says that it's much speedier. It is, you can travel and get to your destination more quickly. But let's pretend like we don't know these answer choices, A, B, C, D for 12. Let's just rely on answering the question being posed to us in 12 and finding quotes that answer that question. So the question in 12 is asking, what is an explicit advantage of automobile travel in North America? Well, let's read 5 to 9. Is this an explicit advantage of automobile travel in North America? We have to hit all those little check boxes. Explicitly said advantage of automobile in North America. In other words, traveling to work, school, or the market means being a strap hanger. Somebody who, by choice or necessity, relies on public transport rather than a privately owned automobile. Again, that might be a decent bad answer for talking about convenience. However, that requires a lot of logical jumps for you to get to that. And finally, they're not talking about an advantage of an automobile in North America. This is just talking about in the world, and it's talking just vaguely about an automobile, but it doesn't say why an automobile is better or what an advantage of an automobile is in North America. So I'm not liking that, in that it's not precise. It's not precise enough of an answer for us to answer the question that's being asked in question 12. What about 20 to 24? Does this talk about an explicit advantage of an automobile in North America? And yet public transportation in many minds is the opposite of glamour. A squalid last resort for those with one too many impaired driving charges, too poor to afford insurance, or too decrepit to get behind the wheel of a car. That doesn't say anything about what an advantage of an automobile is. That's implicit. You might imply if public transportation is the opposite of glamour, then private transportation is glamour. But that's implying that. That's like figuring out that there's a logical opposite to what we're talking about, on how public transportation is this depressing experience. Therefore, private transportation is not depressing. So they're not explicitly talking about advantages of automobiles in North America there. Again, explicit means directly saying it. What about 24 to 26? In much of North America, they are right. Taking transit is a depressing experience. Again, that's another logical assumption. It's implying if we say that transit in North America is depressing, you can imply then that private transportation is not depressing. However, they don't explicitly say what is an advantage of automobiles in that case. What about D, 32 to 34? Hopping in a car, so we're talking about an automobile directly, explicitly, almost always gets you to your destination more quickly. The speed at which you get around in an automobile in North America is quicker. That is explicitly stating that an advantage of an automobile in North America is speed. So the answer number 12 is going to be C, and that matches up with the quote for 13, which is D.